So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Japanese yen. I'm going to talk about the coins that are on bills that are currently issued and a little bit about the history behind them. I'll also talk a little bit about some of the historic ones. Currently, the smallest denomination used in Japan is the 1 yen. So this is actually the oldest design that's still in use. It came about in 1955, and it's the smallest coin currently used. They used to use some smaller coins, the 50, 20, and 10 sen, but those are no longer used. The 1 yen coin was first issued in the 1870s. Here's an example here. It was first issued in silver for trade and gold for domestic use. However, eventually they both co-circulated, and eventually only silver circulated. After World War II, in the late 40s, this was a brass coin for 3 years, until this current design came about in 1955. On one side, they have the young tree, which is supposed to symbolize a healthy Japan, and on the other, just a 1. These coins are exactly 1 gram. They can float on water if they don't break the surface tension, and they're currently not minted. For the last few years, they've only minted about 500,000 a year, and those are for collections and sets, and they're mainly relying on old coins still in circulation. It's 6 o'clock. They also came as paper. As you can see here is a bill. This would have been sometime between 1916 and World War II. This would have been made. And so if you look on the back, it either says, for 1 gold or 1 silver yen. Next up, we have the brass 5 yen coin. The 1 yen is made out of aluminum. The current design dates back to 1959. They used mostly the same design before, from 1948 to 1958, but used an older styled script. It's also the only Japanese coin currently that doesn't have any Arabic numerals. You can see on the left, they have rice, a gear, and water for, Japan's industry and agriculture. And on the right side, they have the script with young trees. Just like the 1 yen, it was originally minted in gold, and continued to be minted up until 1930. However, the last few years, it was just used as a reserve to back up the gold notes. Originally, they actually produced these from old war material from World War II that was being scrapped. And that's part of the reason why they put the hole in the center, was originally to save on material. Because of zinc isotopes, you can actually get an idea if these have been exposed to radiation, and that became relevant and was studied quite a bit after the Fukushima disaster. Like the 1 and the 5 yen coin, the 10 yen coin was originally a gold coin. It had a exchange rate very close to the US gold eagle at the time, which was the US $10 gold coin. However, Japan only lasted on the gold standard for a little while, and then a rebellion ended up causing so much financial problems that they went off the gold standard, and then eventually returned in 1897. So the 1897, the 10 yen went from being 257.2 grams to 8.3 grams. Now, generally, the bills were much more common to find in circulation than the coins. This is not unique or exactly a rare situation with heavy precious metal coins, is that they end up becoming a reserve and against the bills actually being produced. The coin itself, the golden 10 yen, they stopped producing in 1910. However, over time, as inflation went up and the value of gold went up, many of the coins were melted down and destroyed, both with the 10, 5, and the 1. The 10 yen wouldn't be produced again until 1950. In 1950, they came up with a German silver coin, or as we also know it as copper nickel. These were produced in 1950 and 1951. However, they weren't distributed. They never actually reached circulation, and because of the spike in nickel prices during the Korean War, most of them were melted down and destroyed. So they are very, very, very rare. In 1953, a bronze 10 yen, very similar to these ones, was released. In 1959, they made a change to the edge. You see how these ones are smooth? The originals did not have a smooth side. And then in 1986, they made small changes to the picture of the Phoenix Hall here. And since then, the coin has remained the same. So next up, we have the 50 yen coin. So you're going to see this with the next few coins, the 50, the 100, and the 500. When this coin first came out, it was also issued alongside a bill with the same face value. So the 50 yen first came out in 1955. It was made out of nickel and did not have the hole in the center. The hole was added in 1959 to make it more easy to distinguish from the 100 yen coin at the time, which would have looked kind of like this, and was 60% silver. The 50 yen coin was then changed again in 1967. It was changed to Crumpernickel, which these ones currently are, and that is because the 100 yen was changed and no longer made out of silver. The older nickel ones and the ones without holes actually have a pretty big collector's market, but probably very few of those end up in people's pockets. The 100 yen coin was first issued in 1957, and it was 60% silver. 1957 till 1959, it had a phoenix on it. Then starting in 1959, it had rice on it, just like this one. In 1964, they temporarily changed the design for the 64 Olympics, and then continued with the rice. In 1967, they dropped the silver. It was getting too expensive for them. This, of course, led to hoarding and all of that, which is, very normal when countries stop putting precious metals in their coins. And in 1967, this design came out with Crumpernickel. The 100s, they do supposedly make circulating commemoratives. I haven't seen any yet. So they made multiple for the 2020 Olympics. I haven't seen them, but I certainly keep my eye out for them. The 500, in turn, their commemoratives are non-circulating from what I've read. The 500 yen was first released in 1982, making it the newest of the circulating coins. It co-circulated with the 500 yen bill until 1994. One of the reasons that the 500 yen was introduced was for vending machines. And it was, at its time, the most valuable coin as far in circulation in the world. I'm not sure if that's true anymore, but it's still one of the largest, which makes it a target for counterfeiters. From 82 to 1999, it was made out of Krumpernickel, which meant that the 501 coin, which was a similar size, similar weight, and similar material, was used as a blank a lot of times to scam vending machines. Then from 2000 to 2020, it was nickel brass, like these ones. And in 2021, they'll be releasing a bimetal. I can't wait to see the bimetal. I personally really like bimetal coins. They're one of my favorites, kind of in a weird way. So I'm excited to see the bimetal 500. So basically, these changes keep happening because of counterfeiting. The first time, people were using mainly 501 coins. The second time, lots of people were using the same materials because that would produce a coin that had the same conductivity. And so the machines would register them as being valid. Like the 100, the 500 has been used as a coin for lots of commemoratives and special editions. However, unlike the 100s, from what I could gather, the 100s seem to be circulating commemoratives, even if nobody ever saw them. The 500s were not circulating commemoratives. They did a 47 prefecture program where for a few years they would, release a few coins about each prefecture. I'm personally looking forward to seeing the bimetals when they come out. I'm very curious to see them. All right, we're now going to move on to talk about the bills. So these are the 4 bills that are currently in issue. Now, Japanese money after World War II series is labeled by letters. So first was the A series. That was 1946 to 1948. It consisted of a 5 sen, so 0.05 yen, 10 sen, so 0.1 yen, 1 yen, 5 yen, 10 yen, and 100 yen. Then in 1950 to 1953, they had the B series, which had the 50, the 100, the 500, and reintroduced the 1000. The 1000 had been issued near the end of World War II, and also the U.S. occupational forces issued 1,000 yen. Next came the C series, which was issued from 1957 to 1969. Once again, it had the 500 and the 1,000, but it also introduced the 5,000 and the 10,000. Then in 1984, they started the D series, which just had the 1,000, 500, and 10,000. Then in the D series, in 2000, they added the 2000 note. Now, the 2000 note was different than the other D series in that it had much more security features, which are featured here on the E series. It had way more security features than the other parts of other bills of the D series. This ended up becoming relevant because in 2004, Japanese police confiscated over 11,000 counterfeit 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000 D-series notes. So very quickly, they came out with an E-series, which is this 1,000, this 5,000, and this 10,000. They did not update or change the 2,000. It was not super popular, and it already had the security features. The F series is already scheduled and planned to be released in 2024, and it will consist of a 1,000, a 5,000, and a 10,000. I don't know if they're going to continue to issue the D Series 2000 or if they'll eventually just stop issuing it since it hasn't been very popular. And now we've moved on to bills. Like most countries, the bills change much more frequently than the coins do. And so starting with the current smallest bill, we have the 1,000 yen. This is the current E series. Interestingly, during World War II, the 1,000 yen was actually printed years before it was issued in 1945 in preparation for the inflation that was going on. In theory, and what they wrote on the bills was that they were convertible notes. But by this point, the Japanese money was really fiat because you couldn't convert it for gold or silver at this point. So currently we have the E series. So on the front here, you can see Hideo Nagachi. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name right. He was a bacteriologist, and he discovered that syphilis caused progressive paralytic disease. He was a bit of an interesting guy. He actually became very distrustful of his coworkers, and for this reason, his abilities became worse throughout life. One of the problems is that he did have syphilis, and that might have been causing problems with him because he wasn't treated. And then we have, on the other side, we have a view of Mount Fuji from a lake with the cherry blossoms. The 1,000 was also used for some commemoratives. Here is the earliest one. It's a 1,000 yen coin. It's made out of sterling silver, so 9.25. Mount Fuji on one side, 1,000 on the other. This was made in 1964 for the Olympics. Some literature I've seen says that it was a commemorative. Some says that it was a circulating commemorative. More of this 1,000 coin was produced than any other. There were, according to Numista, 15 million total. Most of the 1,000 coins have much smaller mintages, and they're 0.999 silver. So this one stands out as being slightly different. The 2,000 yen stands out as being a bit of an oddity. It is technically a D series. It is not an E series like the 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000. It was produced and first issued in 2000 for the G8 summit in Okinawa. It is not a commemorative. It's actually circulating, and they continued to mint them. However, they were not popular. One of the issues is that they don't have a slot for them in cash machines. This is the same problem that the US $2 suffers from, the Taiwanese 200, and probably lots of other bills that I don't even know of, that they're just an odd size, that they don't have a slot in cash registers. Vending machines generally don't take these. So they're sort of seen as a little bit of a pain to use sometimes. Here we have a picture from the Tale of Genji, which is an 11th century classic. It's arguably one of the oldest novels in existence. Here you can see a picture of the author, or at least who we think is the author, Marashiki Shuboku. And then on the other side, we have the gate to Shuri Castle in Okinawa. I imagine it was picked in large part because the G8 summit was going to be in Okinawa. These are legal tender, despite being from a different series. From what I've seen, there's no plans for a 2,000 yen note in the 2024 series. They're still legal tender though, but from what I was reading, a lot of them are sitting in vaults and have just never been issued. So they are perceived to be rare, kind of similar to once again, the US $2 bill, the Taiwanese 200, and I'm sure a lot of other bills that I'm not thinking of and don't know. Next up is the second largest circulating bill, the 5,000 yen. It was first issued in 1957 in the C series. It then continued to be printed in the D and E series. This is the E series. So here on the front of the 5,000, we have Higuchi Jigo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She was a Meijing-era writer. She wrote short stories, and unfortunately she didn't write many because she died at the age of 24. She's considered the first modern female Japanese writer. A lot of her short stories have been turned into plays and movies, and a lot of them dealt with what was going on at the time. She was educated in traditional classical literature, but particularly as she wrote more, it really became about modern Japan at the time. And then on the reverse, we have some irises. This is actually, in my opinion, a very, very beautiful and well done banknote. Back in the 90s, also, 5,000 was used as the denomination on some commemorative coins that were in sterling silver, but they don't make those anymore. The largest circulating bill in Japan is the 10,000 yen. Like the 5,000, this was introduced in the C series. This one was introduced 1 year later in 1958. It was printed in the D series and the E series, like this one, and it will be printed in a new series in 2024. On the front, we can see Fujiraza Yuichi. He's considered one of the founders of modern Japan. He was a reformer, an English translator, and he started Keio University. And then on the other side, we can see a statue of a phoenix, or it's also called a hu. The 10,000 denomination is also used for some commemorative gold coins that are issued.
Let's sing a song full of hope, full of pain. Why don't you sing along, my friend? For it's our last refrain. Forever young, ever strong, ever brave.